Greetings and salutations, everyone. We are in it again this week, having technical difficulties as usual, and this does not look good as the IT guy, so I'm going to own that today. But nonetheless, I am your co-host, Deante.
And I'm Shekema.
And we are the Dunlaps.
We're the Dunlaps.
All right, y'all. Forgive my, I'm everywhere today. But nonetheless, enough about me. But we want to talk about today in history. And baby, what happened this day in the past? Talk to us.
Okay, so this is one that I remember. I was about 10 when it happened. And I just, just being a kid, and now I guess now that I know so much about the media and how they spin things, I just wasn't aware of just how prescient it was. And so today in history, on December 20th, 1986, a white mob chases and kills a young black man in Howard Beach, New York. Do y'all remember that? Like
Yeah,
I remember hearing about
like
it, but
yesterday.
I didn't really know. So like on December 20th, 1986, 23-year-old Michael Griffith and his friends Cedric Sandiford and Timothy Grimes were traveling from Brooklyn to Queens in New York. When their car broke down in Howard Beach, a predominantly white middle-class Queens neighborhood, the three young black men walked to a local restaurant and asked to use the phone. When they were refused, the young men sat down at a table where they were soon confronted by a group of white teenagers. After a brief verbal altercation, the white teens left to attend a party where one announced, "There's some inners in the pizza parlor. Let's go kill them." When Mr. Griffith, Mr. Sandiford, and Mr. Grimes exited the restaurant soon after, the white teens had returned with baseball bats and tree limbs. Mr. Grimes ran fast enough to escape the attack, where Mr. Griffith and Mr. Sandiford were brutally beaten. Fleeing the blows, Mr. Griffith ran into traffic on the busy Belt Parkway and was struck and killed by a car. The attack killed the attack against Mr. Sandiford continued even as Mr. Griffith lay dying. News of the attack spread quickly, sparking outrage and protests from the Black community and inspiring an anti-racism march through Howard Beach that crowds of white residents gathered to harass. In the press, many reports of the attack used dehumanizing language to describe Michael Griffith only by his race, while some cases describing the young men accused of killing him as teenagers and baby-faced. When Queens District Attorney John Santucci charged Scott Kern, Jason Ladone, and John Lester with reckless endangerment for their suspected roles in Mr. Griffith's death, Santucci was accused of being inappropriately lenient and removed from the case, replaced by Special Prosecutor Charles Haynes. After the three defendants were prosecuted and convicted for Michael Griffith's murder, Judge Thomas DeMacos sentenced Kern to 6 to 18 years imprisonment, Jason Ladone to 5 to 15 years, and John Lester, the accused instigator, to 10 to 30 years. While passing down his rulings, Judge DeMacos asked, "What kind of individual do I have before me who, after witnessing a young black man getting crushed by a car, continues his reckless conduct by savagely beating another black male with a bat?" And that was today in history, December 20th, 1986.
There's so much to say about that. Just the levels of brutality and cruelty and just inhumane behavior is just it's just never it's just never a good thing to it's just never a good thing at all. I mean, what do you say? I mean, that's a horrific thing to even I think I was a small kid when that happened. So I don't even remember that, but wow, that's a jarring reminder. But if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, right?
Correct.
So, we need to be aware of these things because all it takes is a little bit of push for us to slide down in the same direction. So,
I mean, I feel like we're still there.
Yeah.
I feel like we're still there. I feel like they play in our faces every day, all day. I feel like we're still there. And, like the idea of the language, right? The manipulation of language to call these black teenagers, brutes, and almost
Spin.
like y'all did us a favor by ridding society of them, right? But then the persecutors, clearly that was some savagery going on, right? But they're
Right.
teenagers and they're baby faced. And so I think wasn't this like during the same era when your boy Trump was like in New York running some things and taking out ads for the exonerated Central Park Five and calling them a wolf pack and all kinds of stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. All right, Dunlap, lighten it up a little bit. What happened today
All right.
in technology?
Yeah, let's take it. Let's switch gears a little bit. Here's something that I think all of us can relate to. So, actually, exactly 10 years from the history blurb you gave, December 20th, 1996, Apple announces the purchase of Next. In a surprise move at the time, Apple Computer Inc. announces their intention to purchase Steve Jobs' company Next and bring Steve Jobs on board as an advisor to then CEO Gil Amelio. The purchase was completed on February 4th of the next year and brought with it the core technology that formed the basis of the future Mac OS X operating system, which itself is the foundation of the iOS operating system that runs the iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch. Along with the leadership of future CEO Steve Jobs, the resurgence of Apple in the 2000s and the emergence of the new world of technology can be traced back to this major event in technology history. Now, we all know that if Apple didn't make that move, phones as we know today would not be. The touch phones, the touch panel, he had a vision to simplify the use of phones and make them accessible to everybody. How do you make your phone that one-stop thing? And to this day, they set the precedent for the touch interface phone. So this is a major move in history, in the world of technology as we know it today. Because all of us have interacted with some type of technology where we are able to interface with the actual screen as opposed to a keyboard. So that this comes directly from thisdayinhistory.com. I was actually pretty excited to announce this one because again, this changed the face of phones. This changed the way we saw and the use and the viability of a phone. And now we carry these things around in our pocket literally every day, all day. Most of us can't live without them. So this is a major turning point in not just technology, but in human history. Because this is how we pay our bills. This is how we, stay up to date with family, social media, banking, finance, you name it. It's all right now. We all have it in the palm of our hands, and every other company after Apple, kind of took that design and replicated in their own way. I have both iPhone and Samsung, and both the touch interface phones, and it all stemmed from that iPhone. So really, really interesting tidbit in history. So I'm glad to be able to present that. But aside from that, we are here to talk about what's going on today. So my love, do you want to give an introduction to our guest panel this week?
Yes. We're talking to educators. Some of them who was like, get your own doggone kids. Get somebody else to do it. Get somebody else to do it. Right. And then some who were like, God, when you gonna set this thing off so I can get up out of here? So that's what today is about. And I think I'm probably like in that second. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, right? I'm still trying to process it. Like teaching is my second career. So I'm like, what you gonna do now? Like, you've been doing it so long, but at the same time, this is not the same profession that I entered, right? So you can see all the teachers like nodding their heads, like, this is not what we signed up for, right? So that's what we're talking about tonight. And before we get started with that, we got my realtor boo in the house, LeTicia Rivera-Clemente, and she's gonna get us popping with some news you can use in the house hunting streets. And before you do your thing, I just want to say we've got Syrita Jackson from Atlanta. We've got Dr. Kemi Popoola from Atlanta. Kelia, do you go from like I'm from New York, or do you go from I'm from Atlanta, or I'm in Atlanta by way of New York? How you do that?
I'm in Atlanta by way of New York.
Okay, I just want to make sure we represent. And then my homegirl Chalimar, she's here with us in Austin. So this is my crew, and I'm gonna let them tell you a little bit about themselves. And some of them might want to tell you how they met me, if it's a good story. But because Dunlap on here, so Make
No,
sure
this is actually the perfect time to tell those stories. So I'm taking notes.
okay. Tisha, come on, boo.
Uh,
He played too
Well,
much.
as always, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to be on here. And I love today's topic, how it's education, because I'm definitely all for that, but also all for educating my clients, buyers, sellers, investors in knowledge about real estate. I feel like, of course, the more you know, the better the process will be, the smoother the process will be. And just, briefly, I met Shekema because I'm also a notary. So I can also help anyone with notary services. One of the things, just starting out with, some knowledge about the Manor area, many people probably do not know that right now on the Manor market, we literally have about 280 some odd homes that are under the 400K price point, which is insane. Because if you think about how crazy the market was about 6 months to a year ago, not even that long ago, right? You cannot find anything in this area under 400K. And if you did, it was maybe 5 or 10. And if it went on the market, it got snatched up really quick. There are even about 10 properties that are under 300K. So now buyers that are sitting on the sidelines thinking now is not a good time to buy, it is a good time to buy. If you got your money right, you speak with a lender, you get with a knowledgeable realtor and a knowledgeable lender that can tell you how to go about, making sure that your money is right and ready and what you can do, looking at your DTI, you can surely, most likely afford something, especially if it's under 300K, and do it now because guess what? Homes are still appreciating regardless of what's going on with the recession or, this housing bubble that we're not really in. And the reason why we're not in a housing bubble is because demand is still high. People still need to move in homes and inventory is still low. So when you have low inventory and you have a high demand, that is not a housing bubble. So I know a couple of weeks ago, we talked about, the very first steps to do, of course, find a knowledgeable realtor, find a lender. But one thing I want to make sure buyers know is their loan options. You don't have to just go conventional. You can go FHA. Not only that, some people probably don't know that they can do USDA. Sorry, something just fell off my wall over here. You can also go USDA. And USDA, all you have to do is literally go on the United States Department of Agriculture is what that stands for. Go on their website. You can type in a zip code, type in an address, and it will literally tell you what area is USDA if you can use a USDA loan or not. Manor is one of those areas, which means you could do 0 down. And it is based on income, but that's why, you speak with the lender and they can tell you, okay, sure, USDA is one of the options that you can do. A lot of people think they have to have a lot of money to, come to the table. You do not. 3.5% is the requirement for FHA. So, for example, let's just throw out $400,000 home. You're looking at a $400,000 home, 3.5%, that's about 14K. There are also ways you're like, okay, well, I only have 10K. Well, guess what? Right now, the way the market is, ask the seller to help with seller concessions. That means the seller can give money back towards your closing cost. There are all different ways to go around those obstacles that you think that you have that might not really be an obstacle at all. You just have to get with the right realtor. I could go on and on, but I don't want to take up too much time.
And honestly, I know you guys do like finder fees. Dr. Kemi is a realtor in Atlanta. So I need for y'all to link up.
A referral fee?
Yeah, I need y'all to link up. So yeah, because she sells in Atlanta. So like if y'all can hook that up and have the little ATX to ATL connection.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome. Good. Yeah.
Sound like a movement.
Let's do it, sis.
Absolutely. I'm here for it.
Let's go.
That's awesome.
Yes, I am. Yeah, you're very welcome. If anybody has, any questions about, how to get started, you can find my information on social media. I'm LeTicia, the number 4 real estate. If you go to my link tree, you can see I have a helpful like buyer and seller's guide. It literally breaks down the steps of, what you need to do, what you need to be prepared for, how much money you might need to have for upfront costs like inspections, appraisals, those are things that you need to consider. And we're also going to have a home buyers class coming up soon in February. So that is where you can go to get that information.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I know you can't stay with us for the entire evening tonight. So thank you for giving us your time. And you'll be back in 2 weeks to join us again.
I will. I'd be happy to.
All right. Thank you,
Nice
Realtor
meeting
Boo.
you guys. Sorry I can't stay on, but hope y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. So who wants to go first? Because I love all y'all. And I know all y'all are capable of setting it off in your own way. So who wants to go first? Syrita, I think I've known you the longest. Have I known you the longest?
When you were saying, say how we met, I was like, I don't even remember.
It had something to do with Georgia State.
Yes.
But I can't even remember. It probably had something to do with Georgia State and probably the Crim Center. But I don't exactly remember how we met. I've been knowing you that long. I don't remember not knowing you.
It has been a long time, which is crazy because I'm 5. So
you want to go first and tell us a little bit about yourself, Syrita Jackson?
Sure. I, like the rest of you, I'm a career educator. I started teaching in about 2000. I get my feet wet trying to run from my calling. I have since that point taught almost every grade from pre-K to 5. I've also taught at the university level, and I'm trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah, we've been in these trenches a long time, ma'am. And we both been threatening to quit for about 15 years.
And have done so several times.
But we're still in here because the babies. It's the babies. Plain and simple. It's the babies. And then actually, Kelia, I think I met you. That was in 2007, 2008.
I moved to Atlanta in 2006. So around 2000, whenever you started working at Riverdale High School is when we met.
Wow. That was my original school in Clayco. I think I was like a first or second year teacher when I met you.
Yep. And counselor at the time.
So dang. That was a long time ago. She's also my soror, so that's yes.
Yeah.
All right. Dang, that's a long time. All right. And then Dr. Kemi.
Yes,
and then
ma'am.
Shelly, I've known you the least amount of time, but you know me in different ways than everybody on here. So Dr. Kemi, what's up? You go next. Tell us about you.
Oh my goodness. So good evening, everybody. My name is Kemi Popoola. I go by Dr. Kemi on social media for all things that I do outside of education. I have been an educator now. It's going on 21 years, but last year I decided to hang my hat up in education, and I threw y'all the deuces, really, because, health. I chose my health over worrying about other people's children. Really, that was really what it was about for me. So now I am living my best life as a wife and a mom, as a real estate agent. You alluded to that earlier. And I've done everything in entrepreneurship, from selling eyelashes. Yes, I do sell eyelashes, to selling wellness products. And now I'm trying to move into the remote wellness space. I haven't told you about that, my sister.
Okay.
So now moving in. So now moving into the remote wellness space, where we help people with nutrition, sleep, movement, which some people call that exercise, and just trying to generally help you develop habits that will serve you through life. So it's bringing all of the gifts that I have and I've developed as an educator and bringing it into a new space. So while I'm educating people about buying homes and selling their homes, I can also help you with your health and wellness as well.
And I just want to say, for the record, Dr. Kemi been out here in these social media streets stunting on us for a few days. She just turned 50 the other day. 50 where, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
And where is the ancestral fountain that you're drinking from? Because, Lord, she did a side by side of like the 20-year challenge and her 30 look. I'm like, girl, you're 30 and you're 50.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So what it is, I drink water and I mind my own business. That's what I do.
Stay hydrated and mind your business. I love it.
Thank you, my sister.
That's free.
Yes, ma'am.
Stand in your own lane, ain't got no toll fee. I love it. I love it. Shally, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you guys for having me tonight. My name is Chalimar. I taught for about 16 years until 2 years ago when I got my real estate license in that first year of COVID. And I work as an operations manager now for a brokerage here in Austin. So I met Shekema in my last 2 years of teaching, and we worked at a small private school together here in Austin. And I think that there was a lot of shifting of mentality during that time. I think that that's where it really began for me. And I'm happy. I mean, I feel like I miss my kids, but I still talk to them quite a bit. But I don't think I'll ever turn back. I really don't. I chunked at the deuces too.
Yeah. And y'all, Shally has the most amazing babies. She has the most amazing babies. And her you already had Solo when I came there, right?
I think I had just had Solo and I was pregnant with Zeke.
Yeah,
so Shekema used to bring me hot wings to school. Like every week she would bring me hot wings. She was feeding my pregnant urges.
Yeah, and we don't really have a lot of hot wings. So in Atlanta, y'all know hot wings are on every corner. Hot wings and liquor stores on every corner in Atlanta, but here in Austin, it's not like that. So like I had to figure out how to make them from scratch so we can make sure that Prego had her hot wings. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So Dunlap, you got all these teachers, including me. What questions do you want to ask us about why we don't want to do this no more?
Well, I mean, I guess you could take it from the top. I mean, I don't think there's one question to ask, because I'm sure everybody got the same reason or everybody got their own reason. It's either one or the other. So we could do a round robin where everybody give their reasons, give your why, and you know what you plan to do. I think I like to keep it simple. I don't want to dig too deep. I'll let you share what you're comfortable sharing. So whoever wants to go first, and you know, why you chunk the deuces or why you thinking about chunking the deuces, I'll let you tell me. So,
I mean, me personally, I want to be a stripper, but I'm gonna have to do some of Kemi's health and wellness stuff first, and then I'm gonna have to figure out how to run from bullets because I know you got stuff in this house.
you already
those are my career aspirations.
You already know where that conversation going. We ain't even got to talk about it. So next.
I guess I can go next.
Go ahead.
So prior to 2021, I'd felt an unrest in my spirit, simply because we were coming out of the pandemic, and it felt like the parents and everybody thought that the pandemic happened to them and not to us as a collective. And so everyone wanted to take out whatever their frustrations were, whatever their angst were about the state of education on us, even though we were all in the pandemic together. And so that was my first unrest, because then I realized to myself, I started saying to myself, I don't think I want to do this anymore. But then it came to a head where when an ambulance had to come remove me from my building, right, where I was working as an assistant principal. And after being placed on forced medical leave for about 3 months, I realized that I could no longer be the educator and the assistant principal that was needed in these times. And that the best thing for me to do was to find something else to do with all these gifts and talents that I have, And so I decided to just choose me over everybody else's children and what everybody else wanted me to be. And I chose me, I chose my family, I chose my son. And I told them, have a nice rest of the school year. And I went out the door. That was really it for me. I really needed to work on my health. And Sister Dunlap knows she and I talked often during that time. It took me a good almost 6 months to get back to me, from all of the stress and everything else. So that was it for me.
That's a good enough reason, if any. Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. Health is wealth. And you only and hey, family, you only get one chance at family sometimes. And so sometimes you got to take it when the getting's good. So
yep.
I have to respect that.
Thank you.
All right, who's next? Who wants to share?
I'll go next.
Yes, ma'am.
And I met Dr. Kemi at Mount Zion High School many moons ago. So that's how we met initially. And then I had run into Dr. Kemi a few months, I want to say like early part of this year. I saw her at a restaurant, and then she had invited me to her son's party, and they kept in communication. But my story is a little similar. I was a head counselor in DeKalb County Schools, and I was just like so frustrated. I have the same feelings that a lot of educators share, like everything is on us. We have to raise your children. We're accountable, but the parents are not accountable. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And it was like a good probably 20 years I was in education. And I remember like yesterday, I was in a counseling suite and I threw my hands up. I said, Lord, deliver me from this place. Now, next time I'll be more specific in my request, but maybe 2-3 days later, I was placed on administrative leave and the rest is history. So I was terminated. And I want to share that with other people because sometimes we don't step out on faith. We know our talents, but we're so afraid of, I get paid bi-weekly and, what am I going to do about this and what am I going to do about that? Well, God will always provide throughout the whole drama and the whole turmoil. I was fine. It was paid administrative leave. I'm like, I'm not resigning. I'm not quitting. I don't care. And that's the best thing that ever happened to me because I am a business owner today because of those. So for all involved, thank you. I appreciate you. And so I started the daycare in 2019. And it was very difficult for me because I've been in education for a while, but not with the little people. So it was a transition. And then 2020, the pandemic hit. It's been a long journey. So I'm proud to say that next month, 5 years that I've been a daycare owner. So it's a lot of work, working for yourself. But I like the fact that when I go out of town, I don't have to fill out a leave slip. So I love that part. But worth it. Everything I went through, I had to go through it because had I not been terminated, I would probably still be an educator. So that's just what it is. And thank you for having me.
Wow.
Well, congratulations on your business. Being successful and being your own boss after such a, pretty riveting exit, I'm glad to see you land on your feet. Land on your feet, not just any kind of way, but you landed on your feet like a champion. So I have to salute you on that. So congratulations on your success.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so we got 2 more. Who's next? Who wants to go next? Don't be shy.
We
here now. We here now.
So I worked at the same school for about 12 years. It was a small private school in downtown Austin, and we were very few teachers of color in a predominantly white environment. And I feel like through, all of the years that I worked there was a lot of adversity in that. And whenever I had my own kids, my own children were going to the school, I was a bit more invested in what the curriculum looked like and how we were interfacing with our students of color. And I grew steadily unhappy with the level of experience that we were providing for our students of color. And I remember there was actually a really pivotal moment in my last year of teaching at the school where I finally decided that, it wasn't for me anymore. I had pursued a position of leadership and I ended up not getting the job. And I had a lot of faith in the new administration that was coming in to really hold our children of color to on a pedestal. I mean, I really wanted to embrace the diversity at the school. It was a part of our foundational language, and it wasn't something that I felt like we were actually practicing at the school. It was really just like for face value. And in a city like Austin, you just can't do that. We were claiming to be something different, and that's not what it was. And so when that facade started to affect my own children, specifically my own son, I was done. And being that I wasn't in a position where I saw any chance of upward mobility anymore, even after having been at the school for over a decade and have given so much of my career and time and also just love to the school, I really felt like it was time for me to step out. And I really wanted to find myself again. I decided that I didn't want to stay in teaching because I felt like there were other things calling to me that I'd suppressed in the last, 12 to 15 years. And I really wanted to tap into that part of myself again. So I didn't know if it was real estate or not, but I knew that I needed some liquidity, and I wanted to provide myself with the best opportunity to be successful, stepping out of a really stable situation that I'd relied on for many, many years. And it felt intense, changing careers and leaving teaching. I was very emotional about it. I was very close with my students, very close with my community that I was a part of, but ultimately it was the right decision for me and also for my family. So
I know, Dunlap, I'm sorry. You remember me coming home from that same place. And, so just, it's real, right? Like, you remember me coming home, and I didn't have any children there, but for me, coming from a place like Atlanta and then coming to teach at a school where most of my students, like first Black teacher, because they didn't get to your classes until after they left mine, Shally. So like I think some of them, we had them at the same time or whatever. But like for some of those kids, I was the first Black person they had seen, outside of people who check out their groceries or serve their food at restaurant. And there was just this, having to break down to them, I'm not the help. And even if I was the help, there's a certain level of respect that you give people, right? Like having to, I'm the only one here with credentials, but I still have to prove that I belong here. Like this is being, constantly called into the curriculum director's office to prove that I'm teaching, right? To say, here's what I'm teaching and here's why. And I'm like, I know I'm the only national award-winning educator y'all got on staff. So like, I'm confused as to why I have to keep telling you that I know how to do my job. And so those types of things, having parents tell me, come to my classroom and say, I don't trust you. And I say, you don't know me. So that's okay. I don't trust you either. Right. That's a process. Trust is earned, but you don't have to trust me, but you have to trust the fact that I'm a professional, right? Trust my credentials, trust my CV, trust all the things that I have done in this nation in regard to education. You don't have to trust me because I don't know you and I don't trust you either. And so just having those types of conversations, I've never experienced anything like that in my life. So I hear you, Shally. And so I just wanted to affirm you in that way.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, as you can see, me nodding, and I do remember those days. And I can't say that I necessarily remember those days fondly of her coming home and in the mental state that she was in after dealing with some of that stuff. So I would be right around the corner. It would take everything for me to just stay in my office. Like, don't go up there. Don't you go up there. Don't you go over there. You stay right here. You got stuff that you got to do here. If you take your eye off the ball, and everything else will get messed up. So stay focused. And we'll talk about it when we get home. So it was rough, but I was there. I remember. All right, Miss Jackson. What about you? Your turn.
There's been so much said, so many good things. For me, there are a couple of pivotal things that are dragging me out away from the students, out of my classroom. And one of them is respect. There used to be a foundational level of respect for an educator. There was a community understanding of the sacrifice involved and the support inherent in that. I've always lived in the communities that I teach in for that reason. I want to run to your mama in the grocery store.
Me too.
Yeah, let's go. The whole time my kids are like, and I'm like, did you do something that you need to be doing? So there's the erosion of respect, not just for teachers on an individual level, but for educators across the board. I see it at the university level too. That and this erosion of respect is not just bottom up. It's not just parents and kids. It's also top down. So we have administrators and superintendents and people talking about scripted lessons. I don't get paid to read your script, and those people who do get paid to read scripts go off script. So the teaching is an art. It always has been. And so when you try to turn it into this cold clinical thing, you're going to lose all of the artist. That's where I am.
You don't have to say
Like a
much
mic
beyond
drop.
that. Yeah, you don't got to. It ain't much to be said beyond that. I mean, that's as pure as it's gotten. And you know, to your point, that's the biggest thing. And it's not that it's ever been a secret, but it's one thing to hear about it, but it's a total different thing when you see it in action. And that's the disrespect and the disregard. And not only, you know, the things that I've witnessed, you know, because Dr. Kemi, I think you said it about, the parents thinking that the pandemic only happened to them, as if teachers were outside of the normal paradigm of life or something, like they were sheltered. And to be in my own household and to witness that, it's like, yo, this is happening to us too. Like, I have to take, I can't go to my office because of X, Y, and Z. I can't go and do the thing. I can't maneuver and do my job, so to, and to see this happen to my spouse, it's like, she's here with me. Like, this is, and she's still trying to teach your children, when she should be, we all should be, trying to protect our households and, and the unrealistic expectations and the level of, and it's like they this notion of thick skin. You got to have like a concrete barrier sometimes to deal with some of the crap that I witnessed my wife deal with. And I'm just, and she would see me, I'm sitting there, I'm listening to some of the conversations about to break my pen, because I'm like, yo, this is not okay. And so to hear you talk about it and to witness it, it is something to behold. It's like, how do we move forward as a society if the foundation of what builds us into something to compete in the world is totally disregarded? It's incredible, so it just, to hear you all speak to it and to hear your own testament as to why it's heartbreaking, because it's where we all started. We all started in someone's classroom. We all found, something we was good at, or something that we enjoyed in a classroom, and some of our fondest memories come from the classroom. And so it's a shame, really, because the ones that and it's a shame that, because it's the ones that care that everything gets dumped on, not the ones who need to pick up the responsibility, but it's the ones who care that everything gets dumped on and get taken for granted, and not, I don't want to say, and not upheld as they should be, because teaching should be one of the most respected professions ever. It should be the highest paid, highest regarded, as much education as it takes to do it, just to become a teacher. It's like, you would think you would be, trying to become studying to become a nuclear physicist or something. And, and the level of education you got to have to teach someone, student, who the parent don't really appreciate it, it's ridiculous. So you go into debt to teach somebody else's kid. You can't even, you can barely take care of your own. And so it's a really strange thing in my mind. It really is. Ms. Dunlap, you got any thoughts you want to share?
I was just thinking about how in our society we pay for what we respect. And nobody mentioned pay, but I think that's just everybody on here. What's understood don't have to be explained, right?
That's right.
None of us probably made as much money as our spouses. You know what I'm saying? Or like if you're single, you know, you're thinking about like, how can I afford? Should I yoke up with somebody just to have a place to stay? Like, you know what I mean? Like we kind of be homosexual sometimes. As teachers, it's like, okay, if I put my income with your income, then maybe we can afford a 2-bedroom. You know, that kind of situation. It shouldn't be like that.
Right.
You know, like I think about, you know, sometimes the dreams that we have for our family, right, Dunlap, and I think about the things that we want to do, and sometimes I feel like we'll never be able to do those things if I keep making what I make, right? Like your income is not what's holding us back. Your income allows me to do the things that I love to do, right? Like to be in a doc program and to do all these things. But like seriously, the way that we deserve to live at this stages in our lives, as hard as we work, you know, you've been at your company 21 years, right? And like it's time for us to start thinking about, well, what do we do to relax instead of me trying to figure out what's my next career just so I can make enough money for us to be able to live comfortably. That's crazy. And everybody doesn't want to go into administration, right? Like that's not my goal to necessarily become an administrator just so I can earn a little extra pay, or, you know, to move into some central office type position so I can, you know, have money and tell other people what to do. Like that's not necessarily my heart. Why can't I earn a livable wage still working with the children?
Says administration, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. You and I already talked about that. I was an administrator for what, 6? I can't even remember. 8 years. And it's not. And I remember the day that I got promoted to an assistant principalship, and my father, because, you know, we're Nigerians, and his next thing was, by God's grace, you're going to be a principal. And I looked at this man like, no. And I kept trying to tell people that a principalship was not what I wanted. But apparently people don't believe you when you say that that's not what you want, because if you're an assistant principal, you must want to be a principal. But I knew that that wasn't what I wanted. I knew that very early on in my journey, that a principalship was not what I wanted. Even as an assistant principal, it's kind of like, the way I put it is, they give you that big pay, but the other side to it is you lose almost yourself. You lose time with your family. I'll never forget my son telling me, Mommy, I don't see you Saturdays and Sundays. Where am I? I'm on somebody's school campus, trying to make sure that these other kids are fine, or making sure that everything is well with the building. And I'm missing time with my son. We stay for football games, and you know how it is. If the parents don't come get their children, you got to stay until they come get their children. It doesn't matter if it's 11 o'clock, 11:30, midnight, right? You stay until those children are picked up. Because if you don't stay and something happens, they're coming after you and everything that you've worked hard for. So in order for you not to lose everything behind somebody's child, you stay. And then when you stay, like my sister Syrita said, it's the lack of respect for me, because the game ended at 10 o'clock, 10:30. Ma'am, you come in at 12:30 a.m. and not a word of thank you for staying with my child. Thank you for making sure my child is safe. No, you act like, yeah, this is your job. In the meantime, who's taking care of my family and my child? And then to make it even more interesting, you dock me if I'm late. Yet you take time from me, from my family, to stay till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Yet if I'm 15 minutes late, you want to talk about a conference.
Hey,
I'm sorry. What?
You better
That was
say
it for me. That was it for me. Because you want to talk about, let's have a conversation about you coming late to work. Ma'am, I left here at 11:30. Shekema, remember the day you sent me $10 for lunch? I made a post about the fact that I left work at 10:30. You remember? I left work the previous day at 10:30, and by 7:30, I was in the parking lot. and you send me a cash up for $10, I'll never forget it because I sat in my car and I cried. And you were like, have lunch on me, sis. That was the reality of being an administrator. That was the reality. Everybody had expectation from the very top all the way to the bottom. The students had expectation. Oh, let's not talk about the parents. Everybody had expectations of what you're supposed to do and how you can do your jobs. Ma'am, I'm the one sitting in the seat. You telling me how I can do my job? Okay. But I can't come on your job and tell you how to do your job, right? But you will tell me what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it and when I'm supposed to do it. So it was the lack of due respect. For me, it was never about the pay. It was just a total lack of regard, lack of respect. And the fact that I had to be the bigger person. I wasn't supposed to have emotions and feelings. I always had to be the bigger person and take on all of the abuse that you throw at me. And I'm supposed to sit there and look professional and still smile in your face because of course I'm superhuman, of course, right? And that was the thing for me. It was just enough was enough.
Dr. Kemi, I think that word you use is really important. I think that American educators are abused by and large.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an abusive relationship with our employers. Nowhere else would it be okay to deprive people of bathroom breaks, of sitting down, of drinking beverage. Nowhere else. Like if you heard about a job doing that, you would think that was insane. You would think these people were in prison or something. But no, they're just local classroom teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's the entitlement. Like when Dr. Kemi mentioned, having to stay 2 hours past, the game time, and you just pick up your child. No, thank you. No, well, you're supposed to do that. I can't be. I can't.
Y'all know how many children I sent them on Ubers so that I could go home.
Well, because I feel like that level of entitlement, it doesn't just stop with the parents. I mean, it trickles down to the students as well. And it doesn't matter what kind of school you're in. It doesn't matter how old the child is. There's an expectation that we as the teachers, and I feel like also, especially as Black female teachers, that we can take it.
That's it.
We can swallow it and we'll just do it because we don't want to make waves, but it's ridiculous.
Because we're like the mammies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We're this, when Zora said that Black women are the mules of the world, she meant that. And I feel that, right? And I feel that there's still this expectation that we nurse everybody's children, that we raise everybody. My job is not to teach your child morals and values. Now, if they're around me, they're going to get it because that's just who I am. But that's not my role, right? That is something that there's a shared agreement that you do some things at home, right? So when they come here, I don't have to waste my instruction time teaching them how to say please and thank you and all those things that you forget to teach them. Like you let them talk to you like that, but they're not going to talk to me like that, right? And so I feel like now there is a Black teaching tradition where if you get a Black teacher, there's certain things you're going to get. Right. That's just what we do because that's who we are. That's how we show up in the world. But this world has become so, I don't know, jaded that even that gift, I feel like sometimes I want to take my goodness back. Because you're not going to keep
respect.
Yeah. I wonder, sometimes, do I need to change myself in order to survive? I want to be good to you. I want to be good to your children, but not if you're going to keep on doing this to me. It's when we have this narcissistic codependency thing with our profession. And it's you just going to keep on doing it like this because I love the children. So you're just going to keep on. The other day I had an interaction with a parent. My husband just rolled his eyes when I said it. Baby, tell them from your perspective, what was that?
Nope, I'll let you tell it. I
had the nastiest interaction with it. When I tell you, this lady read me for filth.
Filth.
You didn't do what I told you to do. Can you not read? Can you not do this? You don't follow instructions. But boo, your child failing though. So I don't know what part of what you're doing makes you think that now I'm going to move a mountain, right? Because I was already doing things that you don't know about to help your child be successful, right? So now you're going to get straight down the line. And if you sink or swim, it's going to be by your own merits.
You're right. I don't follow instructions because you ain't my boss.
You
and
know,
that thinking that
but they are
the culture at some point that I pay taxes, so I'm your boss. I pay taxes too. I don't get to decide what I do. It's just insane. It is insane.
I think the part that go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say during COVID, whenever we were at home and teaching virtually, I felt like there was a lot of reverence and respect for teachers during that time because parents, they thought, I can do this. Like the teachers are sending me the lessons, like my kid's gonna be learning online. This is gonna be easy. And I think that they saw how difficult the ins and outs of being an educator are on the daily, and that your needs just kind of fall to the wayside. And I thought that that might stick. And then as soon as we started going back to the classroom, you could see that that respect just never really was there. It was just a false sense.
Girl, those people got there and realized they didn't even like their own children.
Right?
They realized they didn't even like their own children. Right? So no, now you realize we weren't lying on Johnny. This is what Johnny does, right? But you realize that we actually spend more time with your children than you do. Right?
Yes,
and so
ma'am.
We are who your child is without us is not even something that you like. You don't like that product, right? And so that's what that was like. Not I respect you teachers, but if you don't hurry up and get these kids up out of here, like get them, take them back, right? Like I've had parents say to me, get your kids. Get your kids.
Talk about crazy parent stories. I have one this year who want to call me, literally wrote a letter because she wants this child to be in the SST process because of how she behaved at home. Ma'am,
that's your
I
job.
don't have those issues.
That's on you.
I don't have those issues. She just this. She don't do that with me. Her grades are fine. I ain't called you about her behavior yet. You want to involve me in homework and all kind of foolishness? She
That's you.
Wow.
Because you really think I'm supposed to raise your kids.
That's exactly what is thought.
When parents stop parenting,
that's it. That's it. That's it. Because we know, like developmentally, a child's brain is not even capable of making some of the decisions that these people are letting their kids make. So when that backfires on you, right? There's educational psychology. We know, like biologically, your child is not even capable of making those decisions that you're allowing them to make. You let them make decisions for your household. That's on y'all. But we as educators know that they don't even have the capacity. They don't have the mental capacity to make those types of decisions. And so I think I need to hurry up and get out before this next generation comes through. That's just like, because I'm not, I love you. We're not friends though. Like one of us has to have some wisdom. And so like that is, I think, this next generation that's coming through that don't understand, no, not right now, or there's a rationale for why you can't have that. Like you wouldn't give a 5-year-old the keys to your car because they're not capable of doing that. And yet somehow that's abuse if you don't do it, right? If your child wants it and you don't give to them, then that's abuse. So I can't participate in that. I think it's time for me to go ahead and make my graceful exit before that happens. So I think how I would like for us to close tonight is, first of all, to just say thank you all for being here and sharing your stories, because this is the part that people need to see, right? I don't think that we sugarcoated anything. I don't think we were human, right? And if we can't expect for them to see us as humans, if we get on, public stages and platforms and then pretend like we don't hurt. If they step on your toe, say ouch. If they do it again, draw back, right? Like we have to start showing people we are human. We're not going to smile and pat your kids on the back when they come in here and cuss us out. We're just not gonna do that. Like this is real. And so how I would like to end tonight is just if each person can take a moment to just look into the camera for those who are live, speak into your microphone for those who are going to hear the podcast later. And what is the one thing that you want to tell America about education?
I'll start.
Okay.
For me, education is the school, is the parents, and the community. We have lost somewhere in there is a brokenness to where the community is not connected to the school and the school is not connected to the home. Everybody plays a part in educating a child. The parents play their part, the school plays their part, the community plays their part. And until all three of us come together and agree that we are responsible for these children, it's going to continue to be broken. Because the parents cannot assume that the school is responsible. I mean, like they told you, come get your child. That's not my child. I didn't birth this child. You birthed this child. So there's a certain level of responsibility that you have towards this child. The one I birthed, I'm responsible for him. And I make sure that home is taken care of so that his teachers can teach him what they need to teach him and not have to worry about behavior. That's what's killing us, is this behavior. And then the parents taking up for the behavior. And then the community looking at us like, y'all are the problem. No, it's three-pronged. It's the school, it's the home, and the community. We all have to come together and take responsibility for these children. If we don't, the brokenness will continue.
That was good, Dr. Kemi.
Thank you. That was powerful. I agree wholeheartedly. That's actually a big part of the foundational principles of the school that I last worked at, that every student, parent, and staff member, that we're all working as a cohesive group together towards the betterment of education within that community. So that really resonated with me. I would say, Shekema, that if we look at education strictly from the viewpoint of what's written in books and what our children are hearing in the news, that we are doing a major disservice to our kids. Education has to be looked at from a holistic point of view. I think that a lot of the behavior issues that we have, the entitlement that we have, a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're teaching our students a lot of times in the exact same way that their parents were taught and that their grandparents were taught. And we have to get away from that generational curse of pinholing our students and to one type of learning, one way of thinking. I really do think that it's more than that. And I think that until government institutions get with the program, it's going to be like that a lot of times, especially in places like Texas. And, maybe it's that same way in Georgia as well. But I do think that the government needs to take its hands out of education so much and leave that to people who have been educators, and that's something that they love and enjoy, or else we're doing a major disservice to our kids.
I think if I had to sum it up, I would say, especially to parents, that education reflects the whole. It's life imitates art, art imitates life. So as the quality of people goes down, because those children who are in my classroom disrespecting me now will one day be educators. And they will disrespect their students. So as we allow the quality of people, of their morals, of their character, of all those things to diminish, what we are doing is creating an unsustainable situation. And as a parent, I would have my child nowhere near public education.
Wow. That's real, though. That's real. That's real. Whew. All right.
Syrita, ditto, because I had to just in October, remove my son from public education. He started in kindergarten, and then the pandemic hit. Then he was virtual. Then he went to a private school for first and second grade. And the unprofessionalism, so to speak, at the school, the lack of communication, the putting everybody in the same bubble when, you know, children are individuals. I just couldn't do it anymore. So now he's in a private school again, with his sister, and we're just in a better space now. He comes home, he's happy. He doesn't complain anymore. It's a smaller classroom setting, and I'm like, I'm a taxpayer. I should be able to send him to a free school, but I just couldn't do it anymore. In terms of education, for me, it's a partnership. Like, we can't do it alone. The educator can't do it alone. Mama can't do it alone. The school can't do it alone. We all have to work together cohesively in order for it to work. You know, you can't put everything on the educator and then not hold the students and parents to the same level of accountability. So once we realize it's a partnership and we have to work together, they said it takes a village, and it does. It's not going to work until we get into that mind frame that you can't do it alone. And as educators, I feel like, you know, why do these ball players make millions of dollars to bounce a ball, to throw a ball? And educators, we have blood, sweat, tears, and, you know, you're away from your house and working all these hours. And, you know, when Dr. Kemi said that, you know, her son is like, Mom, you know, where are you? I feel her pain because I've been there. You know, you're working all these hours, you're away from your house, but then these professional players make all this money. And I just don't think that education is valued. In other countries, you know, oh, you're a teacher, oh, you're an educator, oh. And, you know, you're respected in other countries and in other cultures, but in America, you're not so much. So we just have to work together. That's all I can say. We have to work together.
Yeah, this has been amazing. I am so grateful that you have come here tonight to just give us your time and energy. And I hope that this goes wide. I hope that people who are in position to do something about this hear our voices and understand that we're tired. We're tired. Like, on this is a group of some of the most gifted, talented educators, most dedicated educators I have ever been a part of. And to hear all of us saying like, yo, I have to put on my own oxygen mask first. Y'all are killing me, right? This is so much bigger than anybody on this call, but I just, if you're hearing and you have the capacity to do something, right? Do something. Dunlap, you want to close us out?
All I want to say is I'm a fan of the teachers. Again, y'all are, you know, I think Ms. Smith spoke about the athletes. You know, it's y'all that get those athletes to the point where they could even get into school. Some of them even get some corners cut for them, you know, to become the successes that they are. So this is, again, as I mentioned earlier, this is where everything starts. So I've always been a big fan. I can't say I've always been the best student, but I've always been a big fan because I know where it begins. I wouldn't know half of what I know if it wasn't for somebody who cared enough to teach me. So it's the core of all of what we know, who we become, and, you know, who we will ultimately end up. So that's all I could really say. And, you know, I see the struggle. I support the cause. I know it's real. I know it's not a figment of imagination. So just as bad as they think it is, it's probably worse. So I have a high regard and respect for what y'all do, for the struggles that you all deal with on a daily basis. And, you know, I just tip my hat. I salute you. I respect you for, you know, for choosing such a profession. It takes special people, really, really special people, to take the time to give somebody the gift of knowledge. And I feel that from the deepest depth of my heart. So thank you for all of your service. Whether you've moved on to something else or whether you're still doing it, thank you for all that you've done to this day. So without you, there's a lot of people that wouldn't be who they are today. So I'll end with that.
Amen. That's the
So
truth.
welcome. You're welcome.
So y'all, this has been another episode of In It Together with the Dunlaps. I am Shekema.
I'm Deante.
With the Dunlaps.
Yes, indeed.
We'll see you here same time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time next Tuesday. We're going to do like a year in review. So pay attention for our poll, because we're going to ask our audience to give us our top 10 stories for the year of 2022. We'll see you here again live next week. Take care,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.